President Quam,
Present.
Vice President Wilson,
Present.
Treasurer Singh, Speaker Kangan. Here. Senator Clark. Here. Senator Magnus.
Here.
Senator Barnard.
Here.
Senator Martin. Here. Senator Stankovic. Here. Senator Isapano. Here. Senator Berrios. Here. Senator Seed. Here. Senator Quinn.
Yes. Here.
Senator Taya.
Here.
Senator Walsh. Senator Shaheen. Here. Senator Medina. Present. Senator Najib. Here. Senator Seok.
Here.
Senator Spengros. Here. Senator Cardamone.
Here.
Senator Patel.
Here.
Senator Koja.
Present.
Senator Pachetti.
Here.
Senator Downer.
Here.
Senator Fink.
Here.
Senator Betterson. Present. Senator Merkel.
Here.
Senator Kakuti.
Here.
Director James. Director Najar. Here. Director Nowoslowski. Director Stevens.
Present.
And Advisor Dress.
Present. Okay, I'd like to open the floor to any announcements right now. Any announcements? Senator Patterson.
I just want to remind everyone in SGA that Wednesday of next week is the deadline for the food drive. So if anybody has anything they want to donate, please make sure to get it in by next Wednesday.
Any other announcements? Okay, would anyone like to entertain a motion to ratify the meeting minutes from the November 4th meeting? Senator Steve.
I move to ratify the meeting minutes from the November 4th.
Senator Najib.
I second.
Any discussion on the matter? Objection? Hearing none, the motion passes. Okay, so the first order of new business is the Director of Sustainability, Jody McMillan. Oh, Jennifer McMillan, I'm sorry. You can come up here and you can present your.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Jen McMillan. I'm the new Director of Sustainability at CSU. I'm very glad to be here and have a chance to talk to all of you. I've been here for about 2 months, so I have been using this time to get a sense of what is CSU and who are the people that are a part of it and how do people feel about it, and do we, as a community, think that sustainability is a key, part of CSU's identity. So I want you to sort of keep that in mind as I speak to you today. And if we have time, I'd absolutely love to hear your thoughts. So what I'd like to do is just give you a really brief overview of who I am and what campus sustainability even means, some of my strategies for going forward, and a few ideas that I have for you guys. Does that sound okay? So just to give you an overview, when we talk about campus sustainability, the umbrella is huge. So we could be talking about things like energy and carbon emissions, water consumption, waste and recycling, buildings, how we build them, how we renovate them, how we use them, our landscapes and our grounds, what we do with them, and how water flows through them. Transport, how do people arrive on campus? Things like the cleaning products that we use, the footprint of our information technology, what kind of computers are we using, and is there a strategy in place to turn them off overnight and employ power management settings? I could be looking at things like purchasing, what comes onto this campus and what goes off of the campus and what happens to it. And then there's a lot of operational stuff. There's dining and catering. There's how we use our laboratories, how we use our office spaces, how people act as students and staff and faculty here on campus. And then there's an educational component as well. I think personally that we can't leave information about sustainability to just the students who happen to be studying environmental science. I think that it's really important that whether you're studying economics or law or education or nursing or whatever it is, we all have some at least basic understanding of the role our decisions play in the future of our planet and life support system. So there's an education, there's a curriculum component, and then there's the cultural and behavioral and engagement aspect. And that's what I spend a lot of my time thinking about, is how do we sort of shift the culture to thinking about sustainability is something we do here on this campus, and it's everybody's role. So I've stepped in as the director, but I certainly can't do all of that on my own. It's very much up to the stakeholders and the constituents on this campus to play a role. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me just briefly tell you about kind of my strategy going forward. And I'd like to leave a little bit of space, if I can, if that's okay, for you to tell me what you're thinking and if you have any questions. Okay. So what I'm doing right now is essentially just meeting people across campus. I want to get a sense of who is here, who is working on these things, where can I make connections, and what's already happening, right? That's good, sustainability-wise. So my plan is to work on a strategy that we can hold up as a community and say, we are working towards sustainability goals. I'd like to see some energy targets set in place. I'm going to be working on those for a while though, because those are challenging. Waste and recycling is one that I'm putting a lot of effort into right now because I think it's such an important and visible sustainability initiative, and we could be doing better on that one. So just for your information, we're currently capturing about 15% of our waste stream and diverting it from landfill. So we can do better than that. I mean, I'm probably going to set a target of about a 20% diversion rate for the next year or two. The way we're going to get there is by labeling those bins so that it's all over campus. I plan to do consistent, clear labeling. Let's put, what can go in here and pictures of it as well, so it's really obvious what can be recycled. The other thing that I'm working on is outdoor recycling bins and bins in the residence halls. Ben Tower in particular could use some more bins. So, one thing I want to mention that I've tried to tell everybody, because I've heard a lot of people say to me, CSU looks like they're recycling, but they don't really. They say, I've seen the cleaners just dumping the bags all in the same place. So I want to tell you the secret here so you can share this with, if you hear this rumor as well. So we have a color-coded bag system. So the trash is always in gray bags, and the recycling bins, that one's cans and bottles and that one's paper, are always in white bags. So if you see the custodians grabbing those bags and plunking them into the same little wheeled container, that doesn't mean they're getting all thrown out. It means that when they get down to the dock, the gray one goes into the trash and the white ones actually get opened up and separated for recycling. So share that with anybody you hear saying that it's not actually being recycled, because it is. Just a couple of good things I want to share with you about what we are already doing. You may have seen the media releases that went out not too long ago. CSU purchases 30% of our electricity from green energy sources. So I want you to know that that is actually a really significant number. We, in fact, just missed the top 30 higher education institutions in the country for kilowatt hours purchased of green energy. So it's actually very, very impressive. And we are signatories to a couple of important climate commitments, including the American College and University President's Climate Commitment and the ASHE program, which is the Association for the Advancement of Sustainability in Higher Education. It's a peak body in North America doing really great things on sustainability in higher ed. So, one thing I want to present to you as an idea that I'd very much like to hear your thoughts on is something that a number of colleges and universities are doing, and I think could have some benefit here, but I want to hear what students think of this. So a number of universities have a green fee, of some variety attached to student tuition fees. It can be a very modest amount, but I'll just share with you what some of the possibilities for that small fee would be, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on if students at CSU would be interested in that. So there are lots of different ways that these small funds get used. In some cases it could be, well, I guess overall it could be for a few different things. It could be initiatives, programs on campus, it could be for actual infrastructure, or it could be used to support internships for students. So I'll give you a couple of examples of each of those. A fund like that could be used to do possibly small-scale solar projects on campus, or to expand our existing renewable energy purchase. Another idea that I think could be good is to create a student sustainability fund. With a little bucket of money, there could be an application process where students come and say, I have an idea, I have research I want to do that relates to sustainability. This could be across the disciplines, of course, from science to engineering to health. So it could be a fund that students could tap back into as a resource. Or it could be a way for students to do internships on sustainability-related issues that affect campus and environmental management. So I just wanted to put that out there because I'm very interested in your thoughts on that. And I could go on and on about all kinds of stuff that I am working on, but I would like to leave a few minutes for you to be able to ask me any questions you have, anything that sparked, any thoughts you have that you want me to know about.
I have two questions. First, what you said that the fee would be small. What do you have like an estimation as to how much that would be? And on campus, what do you think our major waste producers are?
So I do have a number in mind. I can share it with you if you want, but in some ways I'm hesitant to do that because I'd kind of like all of you, if we were going to propose that, I'd kind of like all of you to think about what that number would be. Don't know if I should elaborate on that. I'm happy to. It's generally a very modest amount. I'll let you decide on that. And the biggest waste producer on campus in terms of physical waste or energy waste.
Whatever weighs down on our sustainability. What do you think that is?
So I'm still getting a handle on the scenarios across campus. I can't point to any particular producer of physical waste. That's just ridiculously over the top. I think we can do better collecting, recycling everywhere. Energy is probably the biggest place where there is waste, and that's the case in any organization, especially when we have old and aging buildings. So there's if we had more money, we would fix up, insulation and the building envelope and probably save a significant amount of money. But in terms of, I think the thing that really matters in terms of people's actions is just, how are we behaving on campus? Are we shutting our lights off when we leave our dorm rooms or our offices? Are we turning our computers off overnight and not leaving 26 things plugged in at all times?
Any other questions for Jennifer?
Jennifer?
I'm sorry. It's okay, you're working.
I'm not an expert in sustainability. So when the point was raised earlier about how much the fee would be, you asked us to consider what we think the fee would be. First, they have no idea. So you, as the expert, what are you looking for right now for the fee to be, and will that be changing throughout the school year?
So I've looked at schools across the country, universities, and I would say the average fee, there are many examples, and the average fee is probably $5 a semester.
So let's just by like a raise of hands get an informal poll. Who would be in support of a nominal fee like that? Okay, so it seems like we can get support. Should we do like a range or, and that's a good start knowing that I think folks
Yeah.
at least be,
That's helpful for me. Yeah, they do it a couple of different ways. Some attach a small fee per credit hour, and some do a blanket, $5 per semester. So there could be discussion about that strategy, but that's the ballpark.
I guess this isn't a question as much as it's like a recommendation of what I would appreciate as a student, but if you got the chance to come in today and talk to us about specifically what a green fee would address on campus, I feel like if an email, newsletter type thing went out, if we were to implement a green fee for everyone else to like understand where exactly the money is going, that would be really helpful
Absolutely.
for a student.
Yeah, because I think you can, I'll just say sell it, right? Because that's kind of exciting. I mean, I think if we can put that money into good things on campus or make it available to students to be able to tap into through a simple application process, I think there's absolutely a communication aspect there. Yeah, thanks.
Very quick.
Earlier you mentioned something about like curriculum, and like, would that entail like required coursework? And if so, like, what would you say that like the time frame is supposed to be, like 4 weeks, 8 weeks, a semester?
So I'm glad you asked that because again, that's another thing where different universities do it in different ways. Some have a course that everyone has to go through and you check the box. I don't see that working really well here necessarily for a couple of reasons. It's hard to make everyone take a course. And in my mind, it does something that does a disservice, and that is, I've done sustainability now in this course, and now I go on to the rest of my studies that actually, are what I'm studying, and I don't want to send that message. For now, I'm going to start by trying to either go into some of the intro to university life, or whatever those courses are called. Maybe there'll be like a module that I can put out so those instructors can deliver that on my behalf. The other thing, I actually was with the Faculty Senate Steering Committee earlier this week and sort of presented this to them, that idea as well. Another really good way to do it is to present modules or workshops to faculty so that there's a really easy way to just slip in a module about, say, sustainability in business to an existing course. And that way it's woven in, and I think maybe has more of an impact and is simpler too.
Senator Capri.
I really like all these ideas about the coursework and stuff like that. I live in Penn, and I go to the trash room a lot, throw my stuff down, but there's no recycling bins in there at all. And that's something that we can definitely work on together if you're interested, because there's no like recycling methods for a lot of us. So
Yeah,
that
so,
would be a really easy fix. That would be really cool.
thank you.
And the ones that you put comments are also too small.
Yeah. So I've been through both of the dorms to assess the situation and have a look. And the director of residence life and the facilities people there have been really helpful. And actually earlier today, I just submitted kind of a detailed recommendation for all the places in Penn Tower where recycling bins should go and what kind they should get. So might not be a bad time to, suggest your desire to make that happen as well. So I think that's coming from students that you want that. It sort of backs up my recommendations. So the idea, just quickly, is to put a kind of central recycling station down in the basement. So, because there's not a lot of space elsewhere. So we're working on that.
Did you
Thank
actually
you.
want a range for the infant, or is that something you want to do later?
Depends on what your process is. I mean, we'd have to talk in more detail about what the process would be to move that forward and how that kind of thing, if it goes to vote or what happens, I have no idea. So,
Usually what we do is we'll put out a survey amongst ourselves at first to get an idea of kind of what the acceptable range is, and then tailor that towards what we put out in the university. And I think it's helpful for these things to be voted upon from the student body. That usually furnishes a lot of support. This way you're getting the direct evidence from the students are in support of something like that.
and the other thing I'll just add that I think is really good about that is this is such a great way to demonstrate student support for these kind of initiatives, which I think shows, the executive here, administration here, that this is valuable to students as well. So it does a lot of different things, I think. So, I don't know, do you want to talk more about that now, or is that a survey that goes out and says
Yeah,
what's the
that's-
range you would support?
Yeah,
or-
that's something we'll put out.
Okay, good.
And you've been in contact with President Kwong, so we'll definitely stay in contact with you and we'd love to follow up. Thank you so much, Jennifer.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so moving right along with the Director of the Office of Civic Engagement, Julie Rogers is here. We just did last week. It looks like.
Yeah, I think that was my fault.
I don't know.
So, yeah, I apologize for not being here last week, but thank you for the opportunity. My name again is Julian Rogers, and I'm the Director of the Office of Civic Engagement here at Cleveland State. For those of you who don't know, we're in the Administration Center, right there on the first floor. You may have noticed that there's some pictures out on the glass there. That's our office, so feel free to stop by anytime. I thought I'd tell you a little bit about me and a little bit about our office, and then also I specifically wanted to talk to you about two programs that we've recently launched. So I've been with the university for 3 years. I'm the first director of the Office of Civic Engagement, and the office was created for pretty much three primary reasons. One, Cleveland State has a long tradition and history of working with and engaging with the broader city of Cleveland, but there was never an office that was responsible for capturing, who's doing what. So any given college could probably tell you, oh yeah, we're doing this, these are our partners, this is the impact, but on a university-wide level, there was never an office responsible for that. So our first order of business was kind of to capture and inventory who's doing what and to what result. So that's first order of business. The second is to promote more, so encourage our faculty and student organizations to engage in this way on a more consistent basis, and then also to reward people for doing that. So we've got several programs that we operate to support those things. One is we have a faculty grant program where we award grants to faculty and student organizations, $2,500 to $5,000 for partnering with community-based organizations on projects. We've done this for the last 3 years now. I think we've awarded somewhere around $60,000 in grants. So next time we do a call for proposals, we'll make sure that you guys are well aware of that. But we've always had student organizations participating in our grant program, and they've had some outstanding projects that they've done. With our grant program, we're also looking to promote those projects. So we've created what's called the Cleveland Engagement Project, which is a web portal, and it kind of highlights all the various projects that we've featured so far. Right now there's 80 projects on the web portal. I'll leave some information on how you can access that, but it basically highlights the different ways in which our faculty and student organizations have been partnering with community-based organizations in Cleveland. It's our way to promote and encourage more participation in that area. And then trying to see. So those are the kind of the main ways that we kind of promote and encourage more. We are, as far as the faculty side, we are working on one big project called Public Sphere Pedagogy. And through Public Sphere, some of you may have participated in a class that uses this teaching method. But basically, we identify a contemporary public policy issue, something that's relevant, that's happening currently in the city of Cleveland. And throughout the course of your semester, your assignments are related to that particular course. So we started piloting this teaching method and an introduction to journalism and public relations. So in that class, students are learning the basics of how do you conduct an interview, what does persuasive writing look like, what are the basics of a social media campaign, what does a political campaign look like. So those are the skills they're learning in the class. But when it comes to their assignments, for example, the assignment to do an interview, instead of interviewing anyone about anything, everything is focused on the particular policy issue that is done through that semester. So we've done 4 iterations of this. The first was the Arts and Culture Arts Levy, issue 8. For those of you that may not know, but we have a tax on cigarettes in Cuyahoga County, and that money is used to fund our arts and cultural sector here. Money's given to individual artists as well as our arts and cultural institutions here. So that issue was on the ballot, and so during the course of the semester, they focused on that issue. At the end of the semester, we have what's called a town hall. It's a meeting that's open to the public. We invite specific people from the issue that are related to the issue that we're discussing. So we had lots of members of individual artists. We had folks that are running small arts organizations. The head of Cuyahoga Arts and Culture, which is the organization responsible for collecting and distributing out that money. We invited all of those people to the town hall, and students in the class were broken up into teams of 7 or 8, and they basically had to present a campaign, pick a side of the issue, and present their campaign. And then over lunch, they talked with the experts in the field about the issue. So that's something that we're trying to promote throughout all disciplines at the university. So we do run some specific student focused programs. So the America Reads program, where students are paid upwards of $10 an hour to go out into the libraries and tutor school-age children. That program is operated out of our office. The Link Scholars program, which is a leadership development program for minority students. Students receive a $2,000 scholarship as well as a mentor and an internship, and are exposed to leadership development opportunities throughout the year. That's also housed in our office. And the Deckard Civic Fellows. Each year, the funding for this is run out, but we're actively and aggressively looking for more funding. With this particular program, students are identified in their junior year, and over the course of 2 years, they're charged with working on a challenge facing Northeast Ohio. The first cohort of students are at the mayor's office, and the second cohort are working with Armin Budish in the county executive's office. So we're hopeful that that program will come back. But I wanted to talk to you more specifically about our Viking Corps, and I'm sorry, I don't think I have enough for everyone, but here's a little bit of information. Viking Corps is a new program that we just recently launched. We launched it in coordination with our TEDx that occurred about a month ago. Each year with TEDx, we have what's called TEDx Commits, and so with TEDx Commits, we identify an initiative that's occurring on campus that is aligned with the theme of one of the speakers, with one or more of the speakers. So this year, a lot of the themes had to do with giving back and sacrifice and trying to make the world a better place. So the initiative that we aligned it with is our new Viking Corps program. So there's 2 parts to Viking Corps. One is a volunteer piece, and the other is a paid operation for federal work study eligible students. So much like America Reads, whereby with America Reads, we use federal work study dollars as well as some grant dollars to pay students to go into the libraries and tutor school-age children. That program is phenomenal for education majors, for English majors, for math majors. And it's great because you are supporting what you're learning in the classroom, you're getting paid, but you're also giving back. You're improving the community with the work that you're doing. We didn't have a similar program to support other majors. So with Viking Corps, we are placing federal work study students in nonprofit organizations throughout Northeast Ohio. So an accounting major may be put into the accounting department of a nonprofit. So that way it's in a similar way, they're reinforcing what they're learning in the classroom, but at the same time they're getting paid and they're also giving back to the community. So we're really trying to promote Viking Corps, we have a goal of trying to get at least, our goal of 30 students to participate on the federal work study side, we've actually reached. On the volunteer side, we're still really actively trying to promote that piece. We have partnered with Business Volunteers Unlimited, which is an organization that works on behalf of the nonprofit sector here in Northeast Ohio. They help with board recruitment, and also when organizations have a volunteer opportunity, they send it to BVU, and BVU promotes it and helps to recruit people to do these volunteer opportunities. So we have a special partnership with BVU. They've created a web portal that's unique for CSU students. And so you would go in, sign in using your student ID. It would give you a bunch of vetted opportunities. And by vetted, I mean that they have a close relationship with the organization that has proposed the volunteer opportunity. And they have assured us that they will, that there will be someone to sign you in and give you instruction, and also be able to report back to us that you indeed showed up and how many hours you presented. This is important because, and I'm not sure if the conversation has been had with SGA, but the university is looking to implement next year an additional certification in civic engagement. Whereby students can earn credit in civic engagement and upon graduation receive this additional academic certificate. And part of the ways that you earn credit toward that is through service. And so this partnership with Viking Corps and BVU will allow us to track your service. So, you know, particularly if you're going to go for the certificate, we ask that you run your volunteer opportunities through Viking Corps. If you know of a volunteer opportunity and it's not in the Viking Corps portal, you can alert our office, and then we can make sure that that opportunity gets put on the portal so that it gets, you can earn credit through Viking Corps. We do a few other, there's quite a bit of other work that we do. The last thing I'll mention, and I'll open it up for questions. We host issue forums. We've hosted one during the election, during the Republican National Convention around poverty. And so we had a lot of delegates in town, and some Republican officials actually do a forum around how the Republicans are going to address issues of poverty, which was quite successful. We did an issue forum on the Syrian refugee crisis. And we have more planned. So if you guys have any ideas or would like some type of, we've got some resources to host these forums. So if there's some ideas that you guys would like seen discussed on campus, feel free to contact our office, and we'd be happy to help get those done. So I'll pause for now if there are any questions, comments.
Any questions about Viking Corps or our partnerships or service?
You said that you have a grant program for this organization. How does that work exactly? And what you mentioned the civic engagement, how you're going to get into sort of certification at the end of graduation. So is the grant program something like that?
No. So the grant program is completely separate. Once a semester, we do a call for proposals, and both for student organizations as well as faculty. And you you fill out the application, submit your proposal, it's reviewed by a committee, and then you're awarded.
Right.
As far as student organizations, we usually have 4 grant category, or 4 available grants for student orgs. Each year we've only had 4 student organizations apply, so every student organization that has applied has received a grant. It's much more competitive on the faculty side.
Right.
The certification is, so you would, somewhat like you declare your major, you declare that you're going to pursue the certification. You would, they're still finalizing the details on how how many hours you need to earn, but there's various ways where you earn credit towards the certification. One is through services, which I talked about with the Viking Corps. Internships, study abroad, co-ops, participating in some of the things that our office runs, like the Decker Fellows. There are classes, such as I talked about the public service pedagogy, classes that are teaching in that way, or any class that has a civic engagement component toward it, and we have a list of those classes. By taking those classes, you earn credit, and then there's a reflection piece. So you have to do paper around what you've learned over the course of your 3 or 4 years of trying for the certificate, and then you would be awarded upon graduation.
Okay, thank you.
How can SGA be a partner in what you're doing? Is it helping with volunteer efforts? Is it directing students to you? I mean, a lot of these folks are, I think, civically engaged and they want to help the community. What specifically can we be helpful with?
So, we really are looking to have more student engagement through our office. The first couple of years, I would really say that it was more about getting word about what we're trying to accomplish. My title is Director of Community Partnerships, so I'm also out in the community talking to folks about Cleveland State. But now we're at a point where the office is really established, and in order to kind of really take root, we really have to have more engagement with students. And so, I'm happy to partner with you guys on pretty much all the work that we do, particularly around the Viking Corps. We do have a Central Neighborhood Alliance. Central is the neighborhood directly to the south of the university, and traditionally there's been kind of a barrier set up between us and that community. So one of my initiatives that we're focusing on is the Central Neighborhood Alliance, where we're trying to identify opportunities to strengthen that relationship. So we're doing that in a number of ways. We offer 2 full tuition 4-year scholarships to graduating seniors from the Central neighborhood. So promotion of that scholarship opportunity is very important, but where I really think that you guys can help is another component of that initiative is that we're trying to bring every school-aged child from the Central neighborhood onto our campus for some type of meaningful activity. Identifying meaningful activities for children is somewhat difficult, and the more people that are involved in this, the better. Students that we bring on campus, they love talking to college students, and you guys would be the perfect ambassadors to the university, so we'd love to get you engaged in that program specifically.
Yeah, I know I'd love to do that.
Yeah. And we also coordinate voter registration activities on campus, so I know you guys are involved in that as well. What we're trying to get a handle in, because we manage, Cleveland State was awarded 2 years ago Carnegie classification for civic engagement, which is a pretty big deal. There's only like 400 universities in the country that have that designation, and it's about the way in which we engage with the broader community. And part of just lost my train of thought. What was your question?
I was just speaking of the fact that we'd love to be ambassadors to a particular neighborhood.
There was something I was going with the Carnegie classification.
2 years ago we were awarded it. We're not official. Why is that the case?
No, so when you receive the Carnegie classification, it lasts for 5 years.
Oh.
Yeah, so you only have to apply every few years. But I was going somewhere with why I brought that up. Wow, lost. I had a long day today. Yeah, I'm not sure where I was going with that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We forget things all the time.
Senator Patel.
Do you guys happen to partner with Friendly Alliance or
Friendly End?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. So our primary partner in Central is the Sisters of Charity Foundation, and they manage the Promise Neighborhood Initiative. Promise is titled after the Promise federal grant, which some cities were awarded this federal grant to coordinate all kinds of efforts from different organizations within a community and kind of get them some additional resources that are specifically targeted toward children and improving their educational outcomes. The Central Neighborhood has applied 3 times. They just recently submitted their 3rd application about a month ago. We're one of the primary partners on that grant application. We're hoping we're successful this year. But the Sisters of Charity, after losing the grant the first time, not getting awarded the grant, they saw there was a lot of synergy that was developed as a result of bringing all of these different organizations together, and they said this is really beneficial to the community and we should keep this going. So they have been funding kind of a miniature Promise neighborhood initiative on their own, and it's staffed by about, I think they have a staff of 5 people, and they work on coordinating social and educational activities in the community, so we work very closely with them. As a matter of fact, the reason I thought I was going to be late today, we're hosting, we're part of a cohort of 7 other universities working on this anchor institution dashboard where universities can measure their impact on their surrounding community, but beyond just economic impact. So we're looking at how is Cleveland State improving health outcomes in the surrounding community? How is Cleveland State improving educational outcomes for K-12 students? So those are some of the things that we're looking at through this. We meet quarterly as a group and monthly by phone. And this was Cleveland State's turn to host the meeting, so I was responsible for hosting all those people over the last 2 days. And we just wrapped up. So, but we took them on a tour of Central, and the Promise people were very much involved in that tour. They actually led the tour and kind of showed what their needs are and how Cleveland State is helping and what are their additional needs.
Any other questions? Well, I think a lot of the Senate would really like to meet with you again, so
Yeah.
I think you have his contact information, so we'd love to start some projects with you.
Good, thank you. Appreciate it. This here is I'm part of the Division of University Engagement, which also includes the Office of Inclusion and Multicultural Engagement, which is housed in Rhodes Tower on the 10th floor. So these are our division documents. They were just recently published, so got a few of those. The next 2017 represents the 50th anniversary of the election of Carl Stokes, and the city of Cleveland is doing a year-long celebration of not only the lives of Carl Stokes, but Carl and Louis Stokes and their impact. So we're going to be doing some activities around that. This is going to be a big deal, so look out for that, and I know Cleveland State's going to be participating, and you guys should be at the table around that.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Now, as a possible update of executive board.
Thank you again. All right. I like that. That's kind of a big break. So we met with, a few of us met with President Berkman over lunch. I don't know if anyone has everyone had a chance to meet President Berkman, or is he kind of just like this figure that sits in the back of people's minds? Who hasn't been able to meet the President? Okay, so quite a few of you. All right, so we're going to get an opportunity. We'll either have him come in here, or we're going to have another lunch with him to follow up, because one of the things that he wants to get across to students is commitment to students. And I think in some of the things that he said in that meeting, he displayed that he made some commitments based on our conversation that he was going to implement things that were in the best interest of students. So we talked about things like the campus climate and what does that look like. I know that the protests have been going on recently. And we want to, he wants to ensure, and we want to ensure that people are allowed to practice their First Amendment right freely, but those things are done in a respectful way and they follow the processes. So he's appreciated how they've happened up until this point. I don't know how he appreciated when they stormed up to his office. I don't know if you heard about that one. Yeah, that happened. So another thing that he actually brought to our attention, something that's in the works, is using Cleveland State as for co-ops and internships, because we have so many departments here that we could actually have students, count as an internship towards. I keep using the Human Resources Department as an example. So Cleveland State has its own Human Resources Department. So what we want to implement is internships, opportunities directly through Cleveland State's Human Resources. Obviously we want to continue internships at local community organizations like KeyBank and PNC, organizations like that, but we do have that opportunity right here. We have a finance department. Why aren't students interning with those departments respective to their majors? So that's something that he's made a commitment to work on, and we're going to be working very closely with him on that. Throughout the last week, we've been meeting with candidates, not we have, but the university has, and students have been meeting with candidates for the director of parking. Our old director, Ben Rogers, is going to be moving out, and then someone else will be moving in. And so what these meetings do is serve as an opportunity for students to hear from potential candidates, to learn what that candidate is about, how can they help students. And this is just one of the ways that they want students to get involved with decisions like this. So I met with 2 candidates this week, and a lot of the questions that we asked are, how are you going to help students specifically? Obviously there are imperatives at the university level with things like parking, but do you care about students? Do you have the capability to understand what our needs are? So those are questions we were able to ask them. So another opportunity that you all are going to have is to interview with the Assistant Director of Student Involvement. So does everyone know where the Office of Student Involvement is? It's right, yeah, do you know? Okay, so it's right around the corner from the commuter lounge. And they're involved with student organizations and anything in that wheelhouse. And they've been running just with their director. So they're down about 3 people right now. And I don't know if you guys know this, but Jamie, the MVP back there, is actually wearing 3 or 4 different hats right now. So shout out to Jamie.
Thank you.
So they're going to be doing interviews, lunch interviews with that position. And if you're interested, I'll send out a doodle to you, and you can schedule which day you want to meet with that candidate. Ask him how he's going to help students. Ask him his experience with working with student organizations. And it's important that we're getting feedback from that individual, and they're getting an understanding of what we need. Is anyone interested in attending those meetings? Not next week, but the following week. It's just a 1-hour session during lunch. And they provide lunch. Okay.
You said free lunch.
Before lunch. I'm gonna send it out. I'm gonna send it out to everyone. And then you just want to schedule what time works best for you. All right. And then I will send you an email back telling you which meetings we can get you to. All right. Well, I mean, it seems like pretty much everyone wants to be involved with it. So I'll send out a doodle. And then I need those responses back by Monday afternoon at the latest, if you do want to be involved in those lunches, because they are scheduling them right now. Cool. All right. On February 11th, there's going to be a leadership conference at CSU, and that's something that I want us to be involved in, considering every single one of you are leaders in here. So that's something that was just brought to my attention very recently. Just wanted to put that on your radar. The university for the last 5 years has been doing a leadership conference. I don't know if has anyone attended that leadership conference? No, I didn't even know about it. So this year, sorry, Ty.
What's the conference called?
It's like a leadership conference.
Okay, well, I know there was one last year. I did go to some sort of leadership conference last year. It was actually very, very Very good.
Was it a CSU oriented leadership conference?
We organized it. but
Yeah, that's the one. So, I mean, we want to market that, we want folks to get involved. We want to be involved with that and making sure that we are, you know, promoting leadership on this campus. Question?
I just wanted to know what a leadership conference was.
What a leadership conference is? So basically the idea that he gave me was, this is Ron, the Director of Student Involvement. You know, what are the skills that you need to be a leader? Or what do you already have as a leader that you can focus on to act as an effective leader? And what they're going to be doing is bringing in partners from local companies to come speak. It sounds like half of it's going to be workshop focused, focusing on certain themes. I think like Greek life was one of them. Diversity. I can't remember what the other one was, but so there'll be workshops and then there's going to be other breakout sessions.
In the past, what they did was like workshops, breakout sessions, then had a keynote speaker. And so I think they're kind of going with that same setup. I was one of the presenters last year or the year before and talked about effective event planning and what to do after the event is over. Because so many times we have different events on campus and it's like, it's over, great. So there's no surveys or follow-up. So I think that's kind of the scope that they're trying to do this year is what are practical things that you all can use as student leaders at CSU.
So we want to be involved with that. And I think that all of you are leaders, and if you can get involved actively, and then we'll see if there's any opportunities to be engaged more closely with it. Last thing I have is that tonight there's an African Student Association event. It's the cuisine night. That starts at 6. So stop by there. That's an event we funded, and that's an opportunity for senators to get engaged.
Thank you. Okay, so the next agenda item is committee reports, and it's really just going to be all the committees that have met this past week, giving an update. So if you're the chairperson, probably just think of something, or not something, think of what you've been talking about and present it to the Senate. We just want to all be on the same page. So I'll start it off with an INL update. The Investigation and Legislation Committee has met twice, and so far we've just set a precedence. We set a precedence on what we would do in the case that someone is investigated by our committee, or what would happen if someone is sent to our committee. So, Director Najjar, you're the co-chair, would you like to speak on those terms?
So the direction that we're going, as I know, is that we just want to focus on accountability, because over the past probably 2 years, there's been a decline on accountability, and we really want our organization to be effective. And so really the actions that we are taking is just so that us as a whole can do more out there for our students. So.
Other than that, we've started working on the Constitution. We'll have committee bylaws hopefully sometime soon. On top of that, we'll go through the operations meeting last. So if you have any questions about policy, ask us now or when you have time in the office. Any questions for Imo? Okay. Moving on, let's talk about the diversity committee. President Kwong, do you want to talk about this, or is there someone?
Actually, Senator G.
Senator G.
I'm the chairperson for the diversity committee. We had our first meeting today, and it was very active and very engaging. We talked about several different ideas as far as activities that we can do, but our main focus is having some type of forum, some type of engagement event for a wide variety of organizations on campus. We're also going to include student members specifically from diversity committees of all colleges. Every college has their own diversity committee, so we want to make sure that we engage in the students who are part of that committee, so that way we can all come together with our one focus for the whole board. So our plan is to have a meeting after break and plan for an event next semester in regards to that. So we'll definitely keep you posted, and anybody who will be interested in that topic or any organization you might think will be interested in attending the event, please let us know. We're here.
Any questions for Senator Dishes? Senator Singer? No. No questions. Okay, moving on to public relations. Who will be presenting that as well?
Yeah, I'll give the report on that one. So I mean, just real quickly, we just talked about being, real active on our social media. We're gonna have like a set of baseline tweets that we're always sending out, and we want your input on that. When I say baseline tweets, I mean things that you could send out on any day of the week. Talking about things that you're working on, things that are important to SGA, so talking about what our focus is as an organization. So we're going to be building those up so that we have a program that you can actually release them at a time, like there's a certain time response, so an automated response. And then the other thing with PR, we're going to put out a newsletter. We want to be promoting you guys in those student newsletters. You know, what are your projects? Highlighting that so we're making students aware of what we're doing. That's important, I think. And then the last thing is promotion and active representation at the student orgs events. And that's something that we've talked about plenty of times before. You know, it's actually attending the events that we're funding and showing that, you know, we're stakeholders in those events.
So is anyone allowed to add to those tweets?
Yes, we're going to have a process in which you can add to the tweets. It's probably most likely going to be through OrgSync. So if you need a tweet sent out from our account, you would just log on OrgSync and it will get sent out. Cool.
Thank you. We'll hit on accountability more later with just active participation, but next is public policy. Public policy committee.
Hi, everybody. I just want to like not be in the corner over there. So this is just a quick update on what the committee talked about when we met. It's basically just a continuation of what I said last time at the last meeting. So basically, a couple things. So we're doing a newsletter to showcase your guys' stuff that's going on, what's going on with SGA. But we're also going to be doing something very similar but for public policy. So we're going to have basically a brief from SGA, from student government, and it's going to kind of highlight issues, public policy areas at all levels of government. You know, we're not going to try to tackle every single policy issue, but definitely at least kind of brief students and ourselves here within SGA on, you know, what's affecting us at the government level, which is there's a lot, actually. Malik actually gave me recently a very nice template to go off of, basically the American Association of Universities and State Colleges. They do something similar to this already. It's updated to the year. So we already have a very nice baseline to start out. Just want to make sure students know what's going on. The other thing is we're going to try to push that into the cauldron. We're also going to do that with PR too. So we're going to go ahead and have a more focus on that. I feel like that's an easy way to get this information out to them. And finally, more exciting, I suppose, would be the DC and Columbus trips that are going to go on next semester. We're going to formalize the process, and that's what we talked about in the committee. It's going to be a formal process. You're going to apply to it. Members of Public Policy Committee will obviously, I would like for each one of them to go to at least one of them, but it's looking like probably 4 or 5, maybe even more will go on each trip, depending on how many we do. And obviously we don't want you just going because you want to go, so you're going to have to just a brief application, like a 1-page statement on why you want to go, because I want to make sure that you're not just going to go. Because we're going to be tackling a lot of the issues that are going in that kind of report. So very, very important. And I forgot about the referendums. We're going to work on this as well. So if anybody has any ideas on how we want to be like standing towards these policies once we get it out, we'll be talking about that as a whole as far as referendums goes, because that's coming from a vote from all of you. That's why it's important that we know what's going on. Because if we're going to, this is a stand from SGA, so it's pretty important. Does Does anybody have any questions, comments, concerns about any of that?
I just like wanted to know what happens with the DC trips, what is that for?
So basically, and this is something that's kind of gone on in the past, and it's been going on for years. There is an arm of the university called, it's the Government Relations Office, and essentially their role is to advocate for CSU at the government level. And mostly it's in Columbus. Matter of fact, they have an office there. And so we actually, last time I went, we went and we talked to members of the House and the Senate, and they told us, they educated us a little bit on their views of some of the issues that are going on. And some of those things we talked about are now actually about to become law, or might become law. So now at this point in time, it's like, they need to hear student perspective. It's going to affect us negatively. We need to be able to go there and give a coherent, educated response to them, and make sure that they know that, it's important to us. However we stand on certain issues. So it's basically lobbying, which is I feel like that's something you guys can all benefit from. It's be a good experience for those of you who come.
What was the name of that organization that you mentioned, American something?
The American Association of State Colleges and Universities, AASCU. If anybody wants the higher education policy brief, we can send that to you as well. And then we'll also obviously send you guys our own brief that we create. So Public Policy Committee will be meeting again. Make sure that all the committees send me your meeting minutes. And literally, all you have to do is brief summary. That's fine with me. Just, it's constitutional, so make sure you do that. What? That as well, because I would like to attend as many of the meetings as possible.
Okay, good stuff. Any more questions? Okay, moving on. Obviously, yes, if you haven't attended your committee meetings, then you let Secretary Gretsch or Vice President know if they don't work out at the times that you are available. Also, I do write on the whiteboards when committees are meeting. So that way everyone knows when public policy is meeting, because it seems like not everyone in the committee is always the one that's most interested. Senator Mathis, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, just adding also, I'm not part of that committee, but, do you think the chairman of the committee should sign out the email as well?
They can, it's up to them, but as long as it's advertised in the office, I think that's what I'm looking for. Okay. So we also have student affairs. For student affairs, it would be,
Okay, so every year SGA holds a late night study for the week of finals. And so if you guys haven't noticed, but the library used to be open till 12 all last year, and now right now it's open till 10. So after Thanksgiving break, it's going to be open until 12, and then that'll be Sunday through Thursday. It is only the first and second floor will be open, and then starting December 11th to the 15th, we will be manning the front desk from 12 to 2 a.m. We need at least 2 people every night. I'm going to be sending out a form. I would like everybody to try to volunteer at least one night after you guys are done with finals and you're not busy. I don't want you guys to put back your studying to volunteer for this, because I understand it's a stressful time. So that'll be coming out soon. We're also looking to have 5 departments donate coffee and cookies and stuff during the night. So far, we will be doing one of those. President Berkman has also volunteered to do that, and Student Life has. And then eBoard will be donating basically $200 to the library so they can pay to the ISMT students. So the computer lab is all open for late night study. And then once you guys fill out those forms, and once that form is filled out, please do it as soon as possible when I send it to you, because we're going to have to be meeting with the director of the library to go over exactly what our duties will be and what we're going to have to be doing for those 2 hours. That's about it.
Okay, and then I think it was Daniel Pichetti and I were on the library committee last year, so some feedback from last year. Our representation is kind of pitiful. I was there with my roommates a lot of the time, So as many people that can volunteer their time, we really appreciate it. You're not going to be stuck at the desk just watching people, you can also study, so that's an added incentive. So as many people that can volunteer as possible, please come forth. Moving on, are there any other committees I missed? Oh, David, do you want to say something?
Well, I just wanted to just mention too, this is like one of the big things that student government champions every year, so like we really want to see their representation this year. And then like if anybody has any questions about like if they're having any concerns about what to do for the night, because there's some procedures that have to be taken being like a volunteer for that. I have all the details in front of me. And we'll include those in the email too. So
Will there be a doodle for us to mark our availability during those?
Yeah, that's fine, we'll be sending out.
Sounds good. Thanks for that, Senator Pachetti. Are there any, Senator Martin?
Okay, so I don't have like a formal report as of now, but the Academic Affairs Committee is planning to meet next week. In the meeting, we'll be planning to determine some objectives that, like concerning educational affairs, and also we're going to be highlighting some of the concerns that are some of the concerns with the students and just basically education. So also, if anyone is like interested or has any like interest or some concerns about something that's dealing with education, I'll be more than happy to discuss with them.
Thank you. Also, to add on to that, there are two committees that will be meeting next week as well. SAR, the Senate Application Review Board, and Ad Hoc Multi-Faith Committee. So probably at the next meeting, we'll give you an update on them. Other than that, that's all for committees that we have. Any other questions? Okay, remember to get those meeting minutes to DP Wilson as soon as possible. We will move on to Senate goals now. This is just a reminder or kind of motivation after our retreat. We really haven't all come together to talk about what our goals are now or how we met them or haven't met them. So you probably noticed some words that popped up in the office overnight. They were professionalism, accountability, integrity, commitment, transparency, unity, and inclusion. Thank you, Secretary Gretsch, for taking the time to put those up. But my question for you guys is, have we been following through with those words or goals? I know our two goals that we came out of the retreat with were marketing SGA, our brand, making sure people know who we are, and advocating for our students. The second one was approaching state and local issues. Have we been serving our community? I just want to open the floor to any discussion and really just go off of what we did at the retreat.
I'd say after the public policy meeting, Tab is a really great job pushing us towards, it's a good job pushing us towards being more engaged in the community, caring more about the laws that affect us. And I think that's really great, and I'm proud to be part of it.
I agree. Good job. Are there any specific ways you guys think we can improve on our interaction with student boards or representing ourselves better? Senator Betterson.
Donate to the food drive.
Everyone. Awesome. I have one thing to add to that. Right now, the freshman class is winning their representation in the food drive, and that's all thanks to Erica. So juniors, seniors, sophomores, grad students, please get on that and also donate. Senator King.
Just in regards to the, including student organizations, that's kind of falls in regards to my project, and I'll plan on more of an update on that at the next meeting.
In regards to making sure that we're like well represented in the student body, I actually heard a couple of students talk about the fact that President Kwame has a Snapchat today. I think like we've noticed that, or at least I've noticed that social media outreach is one of the best ways that we can go about reaching students. I feel like the Twitter account and making sure that we're more active on social media is really important.
Yeah. And we also have our director of marketing. He's not here right now, but working in tandem with director of technology. I think we're going to see some good stuff soon.
Does everyone follow Student State on Snapchat?
Yeah.
I heard someone say no. It's Clee _state. And Today I took over and I've just been snapping like what a day like is like for the president. It's not all fun and games, by the way.
One thing I think that we can do, to at least like show like everyone else that we're like getting involved, not just like here, like with like funding and all this like quote unquote like boring stuff that no one cares about, is that we could do more things like we did the retreat where we went out and we actually volunteered and we can have like the Colton or Cleveland State or like the Cleveland State Snapchat kind of like show us doing these things. That way they know that we're actually like doing things and not everything.
Right, not just sitting in the office. I agree with that. Senator C.
I think that we should focus less on funding. I know that it's a major component of what we do for organizations, but I think that we should represent the student body. I mean, I think, we're a student government association. We need to be the public servants for our students, and I think less of the emphasis should be on funding and more on how we can best represent them.
Vice President Wilson.
Personally, after today, especially, and sitting in a lot of the committee meetings and the direction we're heading, I think we are heading towards that goal. Especially the diversity committee today went really well. That was like everybody was talking about a lot of good things that is at the core of what student government is supposed to be doing. Making sure that it's an inclusive campus, making sure that we're in touch with the students that we represent. It's not just that committee. I think that we keep working in all of these committees and we keep doing our projects, we keep doing the office hours. Make sure you attend the events. I think we hit that goal.
Okay. So another point internally, we were supposed to have SGU roundtables this Wednesday. I think it happened for a little bit, but then no one really was there to facilitate it or let it foster. So every Wednesday now, 12 to 3 p.m., if you're in the office, the only thing you're going to be working on is SGA. You can have a conversation with whoever is in the room about SGA, about your projects. Some of you might know I've been really hitting hard about accountability with your projects. That is because that's really the main reason why we're all here. That's the best way to get involved and to represent our students. So, President Plum.
So I think that something that gets lost in translation with the project is that it has to be an event. Your Senate projects don't necessarily have to be, there doesn't have to be a physical thing there. If there's an issue in a classroom that pertains to let's say it's business, and you find out the business has an issue with these classes, your project can be addressing that issue. Whether that's creating partnerships or raising that to the dean, that can be part of your project. It doesn't have to be you holding an event, reaching out to as many students as possible. It can be more defined. So if you're having troubles kind of figuring out where you want that project to lead, please have conversations with your peers, with other senators. During that roundtable would be helpful. I'm always available in the office, and we can kind of hone in on that.
And utilizing your $250 as senators isn't really the most important part. Giving your time, energy, and effort into your project, I think that's more important and more valuable. So I have made a project sheet of all of the senators that do have projects. I'll email that out after today. And if you guys are interested in collaborating with whoever is working on something, let me know and we'll get in contact with those people. Other than that, if there's any clarification you need on that sheet or if there's a discrepancy, let me know as well. Senator Clark.
So, like something I haven't like really ever understood is, do we have to use the money at all?
No.
Okay.
And if you're not using your money, let senators know just because they would probably benefit from pooling together. Okay. Any other questions about internal representation from SGA, marketing, or brand? No. Okay, how about externally? Or interaction hours. So we didn't really do them this semester. That's something that I think we're going to hit home hopefully next semester. We've got our calendar for events planned, and I think it will be available on the website. So look forward to that. You're required to do 2 events or be present at 2 events, and we'll probably go into specifics more next semester. Senator Nation.
Well, I was just talking about this with a few senators today in regards to how we deal with interaction hours, and I think for everybody in regards to students as well as for us, it can kind of almost be intimidating just having that kiosk and standing there and hoping that people respond to you. So we're talking about how changing that perspective of changing how we actually go about interaction hours can actually be more beneficial for us as well as for students. So even just getting out there, just going around on campus and just talking to people, asking them questions about stuff can be a lot easier and a lot less intimidating for us to just get interaction as well as for the students just talking to us. I mean, we randomly just walk around campus and just talk to students about stuff, and they respond very well to that. And they find out about SGA and what we do. So just having that general conversation with people can be a good way of actually having interaction hours without having that stand in front of a kiosk.
I agree. Interesting.
Just point of clarity, did we replace, like interaction hours or the kiosk with, attending two events as, like those count as your interaction hours from now on? Or you can do either or?
I think what we decided at the retreat was that interaction hours going outside wasn't mandatory, but what would be mandatory is going to two events during the semester that we funded.
Okay, so kiosk is not there.
It's not mandatory, but it's encouraged.
Okay, just want to be clear.
Someone Martin.
Yeah, I would just like to add that I think that interaction hours we actually communicate with students on days of the week will be really helpful and beneficial to the senators. I know that we did make it mandatory to go to events instead, but I think just with the little amount of time I was in SGA last year, I was able to see how beneficial it was.
Any other points? We talked about SGA committees, we didn't really talk about university committees, so obviously that is also very important. I don't know if anyone has attended any university committees quite yet, but I know Senator Shaheen has, so do you want to give an update about admissions and standards?
Yes, so the meeting was on November 14th, so Monday, and what we discussed was the first program, which was proposed by Professor Breyer from the law building, was the 3+3 program. So for any prospective law students, what they want to do is have 91 credits to complete for your undergrad. Well, this is partnered with Notre Dame, first of all, and it's not in place yet, but it will be. And it passes with faculty senate, I believe, is the next step. Okay, so what they want to do is have 91 credits for your undergrad completed, and then you would finish your last 29 with the first year of law school, which is like the first year of law school's basic classes. Those are 29. That would have to, you'd have to qualify for that with like a certain GPA. I know. I believe the requirements include you have to have a 3.45 cumulative for your minimum. Your completion of the LSAT would have to be taken no later than February of the student's third year. You cannot score below the 60th percentile to be qualified to be accepted. And then you'd still have to proceed with certain requirements such as like teacher recommendations, the same application process. And then the next thing that they discussed was the religious holiday proposal, which was that by law, since we are a public university, we do have to observe the fact that students should observe their religious holidays, which means that they do have, I believe it was excused absences or just absences that aren't penalized against the student. And that is because we are a public institution, we have to do that, except that discretion should be taken at CSU only. And that's to say if you are doing clinicals for nursing or like volunteer hours for a certain program that is partnered with CSU, you do have to take that up with the partner institution that you are with, because that is not, because you will possibly be penalized for missing school on your religious holiday if you don't talk to them first. We're not responsible for missing those days with them. That was about it.
Thank you for that thorough report. Are there any questions for Senator Shaheen? Okay, so bear with me. I just have a couple things to say. Office hours, please fill them out. I don't want to be so lenient this week as well, so don't test me. Remember to request to be on the agenda for an update on your senator project. We have one meeting, technically we could have 2 meetings, which we should probably vote on right now. We have a meeting scheduled tentatively for December 9th, but that is also the week before finals, so I'm not sure everyone likes that idea. Any discussion on that? Do you guys care to have a meeting December 9th? Senator Betterson?
I don't mind. That's better for me.
President Plum?
Okay, which one do we have scheduled December 2nd?
December 2nd is definitely happening, December 9th is 10th.
Oh, okay. So that would be the week before finals?
So we have a meeting December 2nd, and we have a senator possibly gonna have one sometime.
Yes.
In my opinion, we that we don't have a meeting that day, just having a meeting, 2 meetings back to back would be, it will probably be a very long meeting. So,
Or we can have one on the 16th, which would be the last day of finals.
Advisor Johnson?
I would suggest instead of having a meeting on the 9th, maybe we all get together and have a room on campus and do something fun, because I feel like we do a lot of too much serious stuff.
Sure, are you sure you guys don't have a meeting?
No. I don't know. That's great, because I was going to offer the dinner that I promised, like, weeks ago. Oh, no, I don't know. But, we can have that on December 9th instead. Does everyone like that idea? Okay, do we need to vote on not having?
Yeah, once we voted on that.
I just heard it.
Okay, great. Moving on, after that, yeah, we don't need to talk about the dinner now. Other than that, yeah, I was going to mention that Buzzer Kwong has a Snapchat, so, I'm going to adjourn the meeting, but then we're gonna try our hand at the mannequin challenge, which he's really opposed to, but we're gonna so, does anyone have any last minute things to say?
I just wanted to say, as we go into next week, I notice a lot of people are stressed right now. You know, it's that time of year where some people enjoy going home, some people don't really want to go home. Maybe you see that relative that you really didn't want to see. So just take the time to be thankful, though. It is Thanksgiving. Make sure that you're not stressed. We have off next week, Thursday and Friday, so take that time to recharge your batteries before we come back for finals. I will be out of the office next week, so if you're trying to track me down, best of luck to you. And also, if any of the senators need help with their projects, please come meet with me. I'll try to help and guide you in the right direction. I've had some great meetings with some folks already, and I see lots of progress being made. So, great job to you all.
Okay.
I was just going to talk, I had an idea about the sustainability, but I was bored of the details.
I look forward to that. And then my last point was, should we keep the SGA goals on the agenda just to keep going with those? Yeah. Okay, then I'll make a point of that. And then any other last minute things? Have a great weekend. See you guys.
Do we have the American Challenge today?
We don't have to.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Do it.
Come on.
It's like 2 weeks old. I do it before you get back. 4:50.